Hey, my name's Heath Mullikin, and I want to tell you a story. In 1991, I was a high school junior, and I was going through a lot in my life. In the summer of 91, I had gotten called to ministry while at a youth camp, and I was processing a lot of things about where I was going to go to school. I had a lot of things going on in different relationships, and I was having a really tough time. My youth pastor at the time was a guy named Jim Smurl. We went to Corinth, number 2 Baptist Church. And Jim was a student at Central Wesleyan College. I confided in Jim a lot about some of the struggles I was facing. I was having a lot of self-doubt. I was having a lot of bad thoughts. It was one of the worst times of my life. Jim introduced me to a man named Walter Moody, who was a counselor at then Central Wesleyan College. Dr. Moody just helped me walk through a lot of emotion, a lot of things. He literally saved my life at that time. It was through those two relationships that I was introduced to Central Wesleyan College. And that's where I ended up going to school. I made a lot of lifelong friends. I discovered a new denomination. And I met my wife, Karen. We've been married 11 years. We've got 3 beautiful children. I look back on that time, and even though it was a dark time, it was through that that God used these 2 men to direct me to the place He wanted me to be, and it changed my life forever. So I wouldn't change any of it. I might change some of the decisions I made, some of my relationship choices, but I wouldn't trade any of the pain or the heartache or the disappointment, because it was through that God got me where He wanted me to be. I'm telling you all this because in the last 3 weeks, I got to visit with Jim Smurl. He's on staff at First Baptist Church in Jacksonville, Florida. We were down there for a conference, and it had literally been about 17 years since I'd seen him. And it was just a moving experience to see him and his family. Today, there's nothing random in life. Today at Subway, I saw Dr. Moody, and I introduced myself to him. He remembered that I liked to play basketball, and I just thanked him. I thanked him that God used him. I told him I was a Wesleyan pastor in the area, and it was cool. As we left, I told the guys I was with, I said, if I hadn't spoken to him, I wouldn't have had a clear conscience for a month. I'm sitting here right now in the basement of the parsonage at Oakway Wesleyan Church. I call this the dungeon, not because it's a bad thing, but when I was a kid growing up, I loved watching wrestling, and there's a wrestler named Nikita Koloff who sadly is not really a Russian. I know this because I met him, and a great guy, great ministry. And he would always train in this place called the dungeon. And it's been quite a journey, this life. 3 years ago, about 3.5 years ago, I was going through some transitions in my life. Dark days, tough times. I had a lot of doubts about myself. I doubted my calling. I doubted everything. And there was a long period of time there where I really wasn't sure which way was up. my family and I, we landed on our feet. We were very blessed to have a good church in Pennsylvania that took us in, loved us, and cared for us, accepted us. I was blessed to have a great relationship with the pastor there, Mike McClung, who really was just a friend when I needed one. And he showed a lot of confidence in me. He gave me a lot of responsibility. And I just continued to doubt myself, continued to just wonder what in the world was going on with life. At that time, I was already pretty overweight, and it was during the 10 months that we lived in Delaware and Pennsylvania that I ate more Big Macs in that 10 months than I did in the 10 years previous. There were days that I would go to McDonald's to get dinner for my family, and I'd get 3 Big Macs. And I'd eat one before I got home. I'd eat one with dinner with my family. And I'd eat one later, maybe before bed. I tried to hide that. The extra eating, I tried to hide that from my wife. I tried to tell myself it was bringing me comfort, but I don't really know. I don't know. I just know that that dark time just kind of continued, even though people were loving us. And there was a lot of things that happened during our time there that was not in anybody's control, except for one. And just like God used those dark days, my junior year of high school, to kind of move me and get me through a time. He took us from Pennsylvania down to Denton, North Carolina, where again we were loved, welcomed, accepted, shown a lot of confidence in. Still at a time when I was still having a lot of self-doubt. I didn't know if I was ever going to be, this is so weird, I didn't know if I was ever going to be the man I was before. And the fact is, God did not want me to be the man I was before. He wanted me to be something better. So fortunate to have Pastor Charlie Collins just there to mentor me, walk me through some stuff, just to show me just some really cool things about ministry. And he really invested in me and just continued this process of rediscovering myself and reinventing myself and just letting God take me to a whole different place. And so this past summer, when we got the opportunity to move back to South Carolina, God had done a major transformative work in my life over the last 3 years and brought me to a place I never thought I'd be. And he's done a lot of work in my life, and I'm so grateful for that and for the love and support of my family, my wife. I sit here today before you, and there's just a few things missing. I've made so many attempts at exercise and eating right and losing weight, and I've just always hit that wall. And I feel like as long as I am 40 to 50 pounds overweight, that I'm not quite who God created me to be. Because I feel like every day that I live right now, that overweight, I'm cutting a day off at the end of my life. There's some really awesome things happening in our church right now. And God is just blessing, and He's right now giving me so much vision and so many ideas that it's almost like drinking out of a water hose. I really don't know what to do with it all. And so this is the deal. Starting tomorrow, Thursday, January 20th, 2011, there are 40 days between now and the first day of Lent, which is in March. March is a huge month for our church. Our focus is going to be on not just missions, but our mission as a church. We're going to put out some challenges to our people that I'm still just like, okay, God, are you sure about this? So there's 40 days between then the beginning of Lent. And then from Lent until my birthday, guess how many days there are? That's right, you guessed it, 40. 40 days. So what we have here is 2 sets, 40 days. 80 days that I am dedicating to healthy eating, to changing my lifestyle of eating, which I've been able to do the last couple of weeks, making some small changes here and there. 80 days committed to various exercise. I've got plenty of exercise DVDs in my house, so we're just kind of going to do a little bit of everything. I'm not a morning person, but God has commanded me to do this in the morning, 6 o'clock every day, until my kids wake up and get ready for school. I've got to do this. It's not just for me. I feel like God wants me to do it for my church. I feel like God wants me to have a spiritual, physical, emotional breakthrough so that He can do the same thing in our church and in our community. I know this is not going to be easy, and I'm posting this on the internet for 2 reasons. Number one, it's for accountability. It's just to keep myself accountable every day. I know I've talked about this before, but I figure you people will comment and just say, how big of a jerk I am if I don't keep up with this. And the second reason I want to do this is I know that I'm not alone in how I feel. I'm not alone in the fact that I have dealt severely with self-doubt, severely with doubting the call of God on my life, severely with the doubt of whether there is a God and if He even cares about all this, and struggled with a positive self-image because of weight. And so if there's any way that I can be an encouragement or a sounding board, whatever, if just one person watches this and it helps them to take action, then that's great. That's fantastic. The fact is, and I'm speaking strictly as a pastor, that it takes a healthy pastor to build a truly healthy church. And right now, I'm not as healthy as I can be. So it's about 9:40 p.m. now. I'm not sure when this video will get posted, but I know in about 8 hours I'll be in this very spot, sweating and taking that next step in this journey. I hope you'll take it with me, and I cannot wait. I cannot wait to see what lies on the other side. But until we get there, every day is going to be an adventure. Thanks for watching, and God bless.